welcome back to Amplify. This will help you to know more about our next guest. So, previously on Amplify.
I would love to amplify Stuart James. He's a good friend of mine in the horror genre as well. He's such an amazing guy. So he's a horror writer, but he also recently started his own podcast. And so he's had some really big name authors on his show already. And it just keeps growing. He talks about like haunted houses and all kinds of really cool stuff.
And maybe that's the best time to start your novel or start your podcast. So
Yeah,
tell me please about
absolutely.
tell me about the beginning. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
So my parents are Irish, going all the way back, and I was born and bred in London, in a place called Dollars Hill, which is northwest London. Had a wonderful childhood, absolutely couldn't have been better. I was brought up, Eric, on music predominantly. I was my folks being Irish, back in the sort of mid 70s to late 70s, early 80s. My sister, rest in peace, sadly she died a couple of years ago, but we were inseparable. We were like best friends, and we went to, she learned to play the banjo and the tin whistle, and I learned to play the accordion and the tin whistle. And yeah, we loved it. And whenever people would come over to our house, my mum and dad would invite people over every weekend for parties. Me and my sister would get up out of bed, we'd come down and we'd start singing like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be playing music, and that kind of like progressed into later life. And music has always been such a massive inspiration to me. Even my kids now, their friends came around a couple of weeks ago, before the lockdown, and they're, Dad, get the guitar out, get the guitar out. So I got the guitar out. I sing loads of stuff from Elvis to Monkees, Beatles, Neil Diamond, to Oasis, Robbie Williams, all the old stuff as well, all the great rock and roll. And I sing a lot of Irish stuff. But when I was about 19, I decided to get a band together. So we got a four-piece band together, and I was the lead singer and guitarist. And it went amazing. We played all over London, all the big venues in London, and we done like we supported a lot of big bands. But back in 1989, was it 1999, we won an accolade, which was pretty amazing. We were awarded the best live band in Britain, best live pub band in Britain. And we just it was brilliant. It was great. We got on the radio, we got on TV, like a Jules Holland type show on television and all that. And yeah, so that was kind of my story when I was a youngster. But I still love singing. I still take the guitar out, and I heard you singing actually on the piano on one of your on Instagram, one of your videos. Very good, very good. Like it, great.
It's also my dream. So
Yeah.
you have to follow it.
Of course, yeah. I always say I'm a big believer in that, Eric. If you don't, if you, everybody has a dream, but I think you need to follow it, because you need to have some goal or some aspiration in life.
In the whole story of music, where the writing came, because you're a writer, you published around 5 or 6 horror novels.
Yes. So I've always written since I was a child, and I remember my first kind of breakthrough was the English teacher when I was about 15, and she said that you have to do something with writing. She says you've got to go down that path. And I said, oh wow. And when you're 16, I didn't even really listen to her. But teachers will always give you advice. But this particular teacher, the advice was that I need to get into writing, and it always stuck in my mind. I always thought about that, and I said, oh why? I said, why do you think I should be a writer then? And she said, because the reason I get up and come into school, she said, is to read your stories, your short stories that you write, like for homework. And I said, what? I said, are you for real? I thought she was winding me up. So it was only years later that I kind of got into proper writing, maybe 5, 6 years ago. I've always written songs in the band, so I'm creative like that. So I've always written songs. I always really enjoy writing songs, and that was really the sort of turning point. I just thought, right, it's easy when you write songs. because you write, you write, and you're always writing something. So yeah, I just made the transition to go from writing songs to writing books, and yeah, it's just making it a bit bigger. So.
Was it difficult to write your first novel? Did you have to follow a class, a course?
I like to believe that I'm a natural writer. You know, like some people can whistle, some people can't. Some people, you know, some people can sing. Some people will take lessons and sing. Some people have the natural gift of singing or dancing. You know, and I know that I've always been able to write, but I've done an online program to sort of, you know, catch up and get better skills. And that program was about 3 months, an intensive course. And I just thought, right, I'm going to write now. I'm just going to go for it. And I remembered what the English teacher said, and I've done the writing course, and I've always written songs, so I'm just gonna write. And yeah, that's how it all started, really.
Which course, which academy? Where did you take the class? I'm very curious about that.
It was an online course. I think it was just called Creative Writing.
Okay.
I think it was a company. Do you know? I can't even remember where it was, to be honest. But it was a company called Creative Writing, and they were offering it. It was like £1,000, like for this course, tons and tons of modules, like loads of modules. But there was a special deal they were doing, I think, for a week or something through Groupon or Voucher or something like that. And the course was like down to 249. I said, right, I'm jumping on that, and yeah, just went in and done it, and I was off. Yeah, it was yeah. I mean, I've done another one since, and I think that you're always learning. You know what I mean? You know, even Stephen King would probably sit down and do another online course next week, you know, or a course or learn something. I think you could write 1,000 books, but you're still learning all the time. And I think that's the mistake that people make. They just sort of like they'll go out and do something, and they think they're the best, and then they think, oh well, I don't need to do any more now. But you've always got to learn. You've always got to. I always say to my wife, it's like, you know, you're at the beach, and you've got your bucket, and you tip it over, and you build your sandcastle. But you have a small little pat. You look at it and say, right, that's brilliant. I love that. That's fantastic. And you walk away. But that's always just going to be a little pat, unless you keep building and building and building and building, and then all of a sudden you've got this big, huge sandcastle. So that's the way I kind of look at it, Eric. You know.
At that point, when you started your creative writing course, did you already have the idea for your first novel?
Yeah, I mean, the story with the first novel is that I wrote it for a bit of fun. It's called The Mortuary.
The Mortuary.
Yeah, I wrote that for a little bit of fun. The problem is, right, when I wrote it, Eric, I was very green, whatever that. Yeah, you know, you understand that sort of like, you know, not knowing the writing community as well as I do now. So I wrote the novel, and I didn't even give it a second draft. I didn't get it edited. I didn't spell check it. I just threw it out on Amazon. I thought, right, there you go, out to the lions. Just threw it, and out on Amazon. And I just done it for a bit of fun. I just, you know, thought, I believe like every year, my big belief is New Year's Eve comes and goes, and then you've got the start of the new year. I always believe that I want to do something new in that new year, whether it be like learn a set of songs, or learn another instrument, or you know, whatever it is. And it was, I think it was about 5 years ago, I thought, right, I'm going to learn the piano. So I sat down and I started like, chestnuts roasting on an open fire, and you know, it was really coming well. I thought, wow. And my mum and dad were coming up to the house, and they could hear it, and I was doing all the chords and all that, and after a few months I thought, bloody hell, like, it's starting to really come along well, you know, here. And I had to stop because it was killing my little finger. Like, it was torturing my little finger. That like I just had to stop it. The agony was like insane. So I thought, right, so that's it then. The dreams of being a piano player. So I said, right, I'm gonna write. So I just said, right, let's do that. So I started the Mortuary and put it out there, and I got some amazing reviews back. And I thought, what? I said, my book, people are raving about it. So then, that was kind of, I thought, right, I could have something here. I'm going to take this seriously and you know, really go for it. So then I brought out the second book, which is called The House on Rectory Lane. And
that was I heard a lot about it. That was very popular, no?
yes, it was massive. It's just 2 months ago, it just won the International Book Award. Yeah, it's at the American Book Fest. It's a massive accolade. I mean, I when the email came through and said congratulations, you've won, I think thousands and thousands of authors entered, and it happened 2 months ago. But that book actually came out 3 or 4 years ago. It was my second book, but it only got properly published this year. But when I got the email about 12:30, I was like, they said, congratulations, you've won the International Book Award. So I jumped up out of bed and I thought, what? And I looked again and I thought, International Book Award? The House on Rectory Lane? I was like, what? It was mental, Eric. I was like, oh my goodness, how has this happened? And yeah, it was amazing. The following day, I got so many messages from people. So many people was like, oh my God. The House on Rectory Lane is more of a thriller. It's got edges of horror, but it's more a sort of thriller. It's not gory or anything like that, you know.
And did you apply to be in the category of for the best award, or did you apply? You have to apply or no?
Yeah. So they put out they put something out on loads of social media platforms, and they said we're the awards, because what happens is all the awards. So you'll have loads of different awards all over the world. And if you have a publisher or an agent, they will put your books forward for all these awards. My publisher, obviously, they didn't see this post, so I thought, oh, sorry, I'll put it in myself. So I put it in myself. But I remember when they put the post, it was all over Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I clicked on it, and it was like, oh my God, I was looking down, there was like not thousands, hundreds and hundreds of messages. I've just entered, and loads of people were tagging their author friends. Thanks for this, I'll enter now. So I know there was like literally thousands that was entered. And yeah, when I won it, I was like, what? It's crazy, man.
This is really crazy, but it just proves once again that you have to believe in yourself, and you have to continue improving and developing yourself, because the world never stops on one line. We always move somewhere.
Of course.
And a question which would help people who are writing now or finishing their novels: is it difficult to find an agent, or difficult to find a publisher?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's a brilliant question, Eric. And that's what people ask me all the time. It is, to get an agent is almost impossible. It is like almost impossible. So put it this way, I have tons of author friends, tons of like really, really mega author friends, like Linwood Barkley. He's huge. I spoke the other day to Paula Hawkins, who wrote The Girl on the Train.
Yes.
You know, I've got a load of, honestly, like hundreds of really big author names that we chat regularly. And so I wrote The House on Rectory Lane. That won the International Book Award. I bought out another book called Turn the Other Way, which I managed to get a huge BookBub feature. I don't know if you've heard of BookBub, but BookBub is one of the biggest things that an author can get, because BookBub do a mass promotion for you. But they only pick probably 2% of the submissions that they get. So I brought out Turn the Other Way, and it went to #1 in America for 19 weeks on Amazon Prime. I remember the day that it knocked Stephen King's Pet Sematary off #1, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was #2. So my book knocked them out to #2 and #3. And it was like, what? It was like crazy. But it was #1 in America for 19 weeks.
It's awesome, really.
Yeah. So that was on the back of The House on Rectory Lane winning the International Book Award. All right. Then I bought Stranded out this year, and I still can't. Yeah. And I still can't get an agent, Eric.
Wow. And the previous agent, it's not the same agent who always takes care of all the books that the author writes.
No, it's fine. So no, I've never had an agent. I've got what's called a digital publisher,
Okay.
But that's not the same as having an agent. So a digital publisher will just, it depends what digital publisher you have, but a digital publisher will take half your money and they will market your book. The one I have, I've actually left them now. I've left them last week, but they'll market. And it depends. If you get a really good digital publisher, they'll market your book all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I felt my one weren't market. They weren't marketing my book at all. So I've left them now. But so a digital publisher will not get your book in the shops. It will just be like an ebook online via Kindle. Um, if you have an agent, so the difference having an agent is they will approach magazines, newspapers, they will approach local radio stations, they'll get your book featured, they'll get your books into shops like WH Smith's, Waterstones.
Yeah.
Over here we have Sainsbury's and Asda's and all that. They'll get your books all over there. They'll also get you to do local book signings. They'll get you at award ceremonies. So basically, an agent it's completely different, and an agent will work closely with a really big publisher like HarperCollins or Penguin, and that's the difference. A digital publisher, there's some brilliant ones out there that will market your book like mad, but the one I was in, I felt they weren't marketing my book at all. I did it all myself. So I literally, I'm in talks at the moment. I've got a phone call tomorrow from a big agent who emailed me last week and said we need to chat, and so she's calling me either Monday or Tuesday. So I'll let you know how it goes. That's very exciting.
It's indeed exciting.
Yeah, so that's the difference kind of between an agent and a publisher. But an agent, it's almost impossible to get in with an agent. You can, but it's almost impossible.
I'm extremely surprised to hear this because, like, seeing your accolades and seeing your published works, I would have thought that you already have an agent.
No.
But that's just, sorry for cutting you, but that's just
right.
another good thing to see to other people, that you don't have to stop if you don't have an agent.
Of course. And one of my pinned tweets is it happened about 2 years ago. I self-published myself, done it all myself, the book cover, the promotion, the editing, the formatting, the marketing, and I got turned the other way to #1 in America for 19 weeks myself, without the help of any agent or publisher. So, and I always say to people that pinned tweet, you'll see it on my Twitter. Whatever your dream is, however you want it, I'm proof that it can happen. I did it all myself, and you can too. You just live your dream, and I'm a big believer in that. That dreams do come true, and you've just got to pursue it and keep following it. But I have it on my pinned tweet, and I have it underneath. Don't ever give up. Just live your dream, go for it. I'm a big believer in that, and you can do it. Of course, you can do it.
Awesome example, really awesome example for everybody to believe in yourself and continue moving into the direction you want, and just live your dream, live your life every day like it's your dream. If you want to be a writer, you want to call yourself a writer, sit down and write.
Yeah, 100%.
What about Stranded? It came out like 2 or 3 months ago, right?
Oh no, it came out when did it come out? I don't know now. It came out 2 weeks ago, 19th of October. Yeah.
Do you do some promotion for the book yourself?
Yeah, I've done it mostly myself. That's obviously why I've kind of left now. It was, I'm not saying the digital publisher that I was with was all right. They were all right, but I felt they weren't. They'd done a couple of social media posts and that was it. And I was like, come on, man, do you know what I mean? You're taking half the money, just get it out there more. But so that's kind of so Stranded came out about 2.5 weeks ago. I marketed it myself like crazy, and I managed to get it. It was another Amazon #1. It got into the hot new release, #1 hot new release on Amazon, and this one I'm extremely proud of. Stranded. I'm extremely. I know I shouldn't say it myself, but I love the story. It's a proper scare fest.
Tell us about the story. That's a
Yeah.
bit. Well, what is it about?
Okay, so the story is you've got Ben, who's the husband, and he absolutely adores his wife and child. His daughter is 18. So you've got Ben and his wife Laura, who he loves to bits, and his daughter Millie, 18. And they're on the way to Gatwick Airport. And they're taking the quiet country roads because Ben doesn't like the motorway. He hates, the traffic and, all the aggro of driving on the motorway. So they decide to cut down a lonely country road going to Gatwick Airport, and they're in the middle of nowhere. And they see this figure standing on the road in this big high-vis jacket, and he's sweeping his arm saying, "Move this way, this way, this way." So Ben pulls up beside him and says, "Look, mate, we're going to the motorway. What are you doing?" And he said, "There's a tree down. You can't go along this road. You must go this way." So he goes, "What?" He said. So he looks at his sat nav, and it's like, "Well, hang on. This comes back in one big loop. It's like a mile and a half, 2 miles, but we'll be straight back here." And he goes, "Move." So then they just drive, and they're like, just driving down this quiet, desolate road, and they get stuck behind a coach. And so Ben is like, "Beep, beep, 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 come on, I'm going to go to the airport, beep, 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 beep." And he said, "Oh, for God's sake, this is crazy." So he gets out of the car and walks up to the coach and looks inside, gets up the steps, and he sees 8 passengers all strapped to the seats with rope and gags around their mouth. And he's looking around, he's like, "What?" And all of a sudden the phone rings from the dashboard, and the caller has instructions that if Ben rings the police, everyone will die. And so Ben and his family have to try and get everyone off the coach and to safety. So
Okay, I have goosebumps. So I guess I'm reading Stranded.
Do you like scary thrillers? Eric?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
For some time I was more into like psychological thriller, but I'm still looking for that psychological thriller, the one I really like. I loved Silent Patient, the one that came out in 2020. I loved that one, but then every time you read a psychological thriller, it's you want more, and it's like, okay, this is something that I already read somewhere, so I always want more. The last horror that I read was Nosferatu by the son of Stephen King.
Oh, Joe Hill. Yes.
Joe Hill, yeah.
What was that like?
I loved it, really. I loved it, and I loved it much more than the TV show. I don't know why, but I didn't enjoy the TV show.
Yeah. Is that the one with the truck on the front? Is it, or is that full throttle? Is it?
It's Nosferatu called, but yeah, it's about a guy who's driving kids to Christmasland.
Yeah, The Silent Patient, that is still number one in a lot of categories after 2 or 3 years. And I keep saying I want to read it, but it just looks amazing. I know a few people that have read it and just said, "Stu, you've got to read it. It's supposed to be brilliant." But yeah, Stephen King is probably my hero. And I've never actually read his son's work, Joe Hill, but I definitely will do. We're trying to get Joe Hill on the podcast, actually. And Stephen King.
Nice.
I keep trying. I'm not going to give up. I was going to say with Stranded, it's kind of like psychological thriller, and it's got a sort of it's a psychological thriller, very scary psychological thriller, and it's got kind of elements of horror as well. So yeah, I mean, it's if you're looking for a book that will really scare you, that you'd be like, so many people have messaged me, honestly, through social media, so many, and said like they were reading the book at night and they had to put they were scared when they put the light off and went to sleep, and they woke up the next morning, they were thinking about it, and that they had to make sure, someone said they had to get their family into the room, they couldn't read it on their own and all that kind of thing. And a lot of people on Goodreads and Amazon have said it's like the scariest book they've read in years, Stranded.
So about the podcast, it's you and Kerry.
Yes, me and Kerry Beavis.
It's been a long time that you do that podcast?
No, we only started the podcast about 13 weeks ago. Yesterday we uploaded the 13th episode. So yeah, what's that?
Yeah, I listened to it last night.
Oh, did you listen to the show?
Yeah, I listened to the show. It was quite long. I think 2.5 hours.
Yes.
And I really wanted to listen to the part with Paula Hawkins, so I had to go a bit. It was already late, so I had to go a bit to the end.
Yeah,
But it was very nice, and
yeah,
Paula Hawkins, yeah,
yeah.
I
She's.
love the girl on the train.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the film, but the book was absolutely mesmerizing.
I love both the movie and the book. I love both really.
Yeah, yeah. She's such a lovely person to talk to. She talks so elegantly, and you can tell she's so intelligent when you talk to her. You know, she really is a fascinating person. But yeah, I'm thinking I've said to Kerry actually we need to shorten the podcast. We need to make them about an hour because they are a little bit too long.
Your podcast comes in parts, so you have the horror stories actually.
Yes.
Is it like reality? Something happened to somebody in real life?
Yeah, yeah. We do. So we always start off with a horror film review. Then we have, because we're big horror fans, Kerry and myself, we've done The Shining yesterday. And then we have a ghost story. Then we have, like, we discuss either an urban legend, creepypasta, or we discuss a true crime story. So we love to sort of, deliver the true crime story, something that's fascinated us. Yesterday we spoke about the Sodder children, which was a fascinating case. It was 5 children that there was a big house fire back in 1945, and 5 of the children during the house fire went missing and never been seen since. And the remains, like nothing was found when they found the other family, but the 5 children have disappeared, and they all got out of the fire, but the 5 children have never been found. And it's like, what the heck happened there? And we just love unsolved mysteries. And then we have a lot of people that come on and they talk about their latest 5-star read. That's called the 5-star bar. And then we finish off with like weird and wacky stories of the week and all that. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, you know what I mean, for the people that love reading, writing, that love films.
Yeah.
We review everything. One of our great guests actually we had recently from the film world was Ashley Thorpe. He's the director of the movie The Borley Rectory. So he came to The Borley Rectory. So it's a film that was made a couple of years ago, a big old manor house. And there's been lots of books around. So it'd be like America's version of the Amityville.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like America's version of the Amityville. Our version is the Borley Rectory. And we reached out to him like before we were making the show, the Borley Rectory, and he said he'd come on, and we was like, wow. So he's a big movie director, and so it was fantastic, and he was a fabulous guest. But at the same time, we also had a gentleman that wrote a book called The Borley Rectory Companion, and he came on as well at the same time. And they're friends because they worked together for the film. They worked together, so yeah, that was amazing, Eric.
And is it difficult to find all those ghost stories? Where do you get them from?
No, and most of them people we post on our social media, and most people just like we've got a whole email list of people's ghost stories, and they keep sending them in all the time. They send them into the show. They send them onto our social media. So yeah, it's everyone's got a great ghost story, you know, or knows of a great ghost story, or most people. And so yeah, they just kind of email in to the show, or they just get in contact with us on social media. We've got, like, on our podcast, there's a little button where they can press message, and we get like loads of ghost stories through that way, you know, from people's emails and stuff, like the message through to us. And yeah, so it's brilliant.
And there are no limits, like the person can be from India and send you a ghost story, right?
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, we welcome that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. For anywhere in the world, absolutely anywhere. But what we started doing now is that we get some true life ghost stories from. So we had we're mixing it up a little bit. We get true life ghost stories. But yesterday we have the person who reads the ghost stories, Daniela Curry Moore. She's wonderful. She literally she was looking through the internet yesterday at sort of scary stories. There was one where she read, it was this family who had a doll, and the doll, they couldn't get rid of the doll, Eric. They couldn't get rid of it. They're like, they threw it in the bin, and the next day the doll's sitting on the sofa in the front room.
And it's a real life story.
Yeah, true story.
God, because I know there is a movie like that.
Yes, Annabelle, I think it is it?
Yeah, yeah. Annabelle, and there is another one, like older one, like maybe made 20 years ago,
Yeah,
about a doll. Also, they tried to get rid of it, and it was always back. And of course, there was a lot of trouble with the
yeah,
doll.
yeah. Yeah, well, this one was, it happened to a family in America where they literally could not get rid of the doll. And one time I don't know what they did, but they threw it into this garbage truck, and they sent it away once. I think it was
Mhm.
like in this bag or something, just posted it somewhere, and it arrived back outside their door again, like the next few days afterwards and all that. But I think in the end they threw it in the garbage truck, and it never came
I'm
back after.
back. Like,
I'm here.
I'm back.
Great.
Yeah. Where does the love come from? The love towards horror stories?
So when I was a child, my very first film, I was an eight sort of 80s child, and my first film. So I don't know if you're old enough to remember video recorders back in
I'm
the
from
day.
88, so we still had the VHS.
Yeah, oh,
VH
so you still had it. Yeah, yeah. When was you born? 88.
88. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, I was born in 73, so a long way back. But yeah, the video recorders, yeah. And my dad was part of a video club, which we used to love, like video clubs. You know, I used to Blockbuster and all those. Used to love it. All the corner shops had films, and the very first film very first film I seen, Eric, was American Werewolf in London. That was the very first film I ever seen, and it blew me away. In East Proctor in Yorkshire, and they go to a pub, and the pub don't really want them there. These two backpackers from America, because they don't like strangers. They don't like. They have a little community, so they go off and they walk across the moor, and you can hear. You can hear the howling, and they get attacked by a werewolf, and it's my favourite scary film of all time. So that's where I got the love. I just watched that film so many times, and then I watched. Back then, there was a lot of banned horror films, you know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Evil Dead, and my dad managed to get hold of loads of them from this video shop. So that was it. Yeah, I just fell in love with horror. You know, I still watch. I love romantic comedies. I love comedies. I love thrillers, but my love is horror. I'm fanatical about horror, Eric. Love it.
Is there anything recent from 2020, 2019, a recent horror movie that you could recommend?
Oh
So,
yes, 100%. A film called Host.
ho- okay.
Host.
Oh,
And yeah, and it's a new film. It's been made in the lockdown. Basically, it's 8 friends who are on like Skype or Zoom, and you just see them on the screen, and they have a séance with this like medium, and they start sort of talking about spirits and that. And this woman is a medium, and she's calling spirits and sort of talking, and all of a sudden the screen goes blank, but the rest of them, there's a demon in the house, like a evil spirit. It is fantastic. It's only 50,
I'm
about 50.
watching it.
Yeah, it's called Host, and it's on Shudder. It's only 55 minutes long, but it terrified me, Eric. It terrifies. Proper scary. Host. And I remember, because I was on Twitter, and I remember everyone talking about, oh my God, Host, oh my God, Host, it's amazing, Host, everywhere. I thought, oh, I've got to get this. So I actually bought Shudder for $4.99
Okay.
just to watch
That's only
that.
to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mate, I've watched it about 5 times. It is so scary. It's so scary. And another one I watched this year that was brilliant and has just come out is a film called, me and my daughter watched it, a film called Haunt. That's a brilliant film as well.
Mhm.
Haunt, Haunt. That is fantastic. I think that's come out this year as well, or end of last year.
Also horror. Yeah.
Also horror as well. Yeah. Proper scary that is as well. Yeah. But I love horror films, Eric.
Yeah, I guess I'm scaring myself to death tonight with two brilliant horror movies.
Oh
My
yes.
the plans for tonight are already booked.
I love it.
Uh, can you tell us more about your day routine? What do you like to do, like your normal day?
Yeah, so day routine. When I'm writing, I normally get up about 5:30, and I will write till about 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I do the school run because I've got two kids, 16 and 14. Um, Then I'm a plumber, part-time plumber. I can kind of live off the writing now, but I'm a part-time plumber, so I do a few jobs during the day, and then I come home about 5, and then I'll write till about 7 in the evening, and then I have the evening with my family. So it's quite hectic, and then we're recording the podcast as well. So it's quite hectic, Eric, to be honest. Like, you know, but that's what keeps me alive and motivated and happy, you know, just sort of being busy and you know, all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's my normal day. Up about 5:30, right till 8, school run, few jobs like with the plumbing, then I come back about 5, and then just write for another hour and a half. Because when you're writing, you just got to keep writing. If you start a new book, you've got to write something every day, even if it's just one page, if it's a half a page, you just got to keep adding to it, you know.
Do you imagine switching from plumber job to full-time writer?
Yes, I hope so. That's my dream, man. That's my absolute dream. Yeah, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. That's it's just a dream of mine to do full-time writing. You know, it's just yeah. I would drop the tools in the morning if I could be a full-time writer and never think about plumbing again.
If we talk about inspiration, where does it come from? Do you need to push it seriously, like to get the inspiration, or you can just lie on the sofa and it comes to you and okay, I know the idea for my next book?
Yeah. So it could come to me like anytime, day, night, when I'm driving, when I'm at work. I just get loads of ideas and I'll jot it down and say, right, we could maybe do this. We could have a story and go this way or that way. I've kind of like because because of being a youngster and being fanatical about horror films. I know what works and what doesn't work, and I know what scares people and what doesn't scare people. Um, I'll often watch a horror film and go, "Oh man, they could have really elaborated on that. They could have done more with that scene. They could have steered it that way or this way." You know, so that when I'm writing, I try to get it. I try to terrify the reader. I try to absolutely shock the reader. I mean, my books are known for their absolute shock twists. The twist in Stranded, no one has ever guessed it, and it will blow your socks off. You'll be like, oh my god! You'll be like that with Stranded, and The House on Rectory Lane is another massive twist. But yeah, I could just be sort of lying watching telly, or I could be playing with the kids, or just, you know, maybe going to the gym, and I'll get inspiration all the time. You know, just I've got so many stories that I've got to tell. I've got so many that I want to write, and I just want to write for the next 30 years. You know.
Do
Yeah.
you sometimes challenge yourself with something like that can terrify you, to go somewhere to, I don't know, escape room alone, or to go to a very dark place where you're alone, just to get some frightening feelings that you could put in your book?
No, I wouldn't do that because I'm too scared.
Okay, so you're not scared of horror movies, but you would be scared of, okay.
Yeah, we on our page, we've got a Facebook page, and we went. My son came in Friday evening and said, Dad, because he knows I love all scary stuff, like my son, you know. He said, look, because it's Friday the 13th, loads of my mates, he's sixth form, they want to do a ghost hunt. So I was like, yeah, okay, come on, let's go. So we went up there to this like place. It's proper haunted. There's a show in Britain called Most Haunted, and they've been up there quite a few times. It's a place called Cold Christmas Church, and Eric, it was terrifying. We went up there about 9 o'clock, about 8 o'clock, pitch black, just little torches, but there were so many noises going on, so much going on. It was like so scary. But about a month ago, you know the place I told you about, the Bordy Rectory.
Yeah.
So like America's Amityville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took my kids there about a month ago, and my daughter said she saw a nun in this cemetery where the house was. And when we walked to the left, we could hear in the cemetery somebody moving to the left. We moved to the right, somebody was moving. And my daughter said, we got to get out of here. There's somebody here. And we were shining the torch. We ran down this quiet road, and from the field, we heard screams like that. And we were like, oh, but we just kept running. It was like
Yeah,
so
man, it's
scary.
crazy. How old are your kids?
My kids are 17 and 15.
17 and 15.
Yeah. My daughter's 15. My son's 17 in about a week. So yeah. So they're older, but they love ghost hunting. They just, you know what I mean? They absolutely love it.
Regarding advices that you could give to somebody who is like finishing their book now or wants to make a podcast, we spoke already about the books, and what I understood from you, that it's not necessary to be hunting for agent all the time. You can publish it yourself as well. You just have to believe in yourself, never give up,
Of course.
and use the resources you have. So you write, and then you can upload it to on Amazon.
Yeah,
And what
absolutely.
about podcasting? How does that work? I think
So
talk about one podcast distributor in your podcast every time. Like
yes, yeah.
ad.
Yeah. So you know Spotify.
Yeah.
Spotify, yeah. So that's how we do. We use Spotify as the platform to push our podcast. But yeah, Spotify is brilliant. It was basically, I've been thinking about doing a podcast for about a year, and we just started doing it. We just like, so what we do, we got we got a schedule together of what we think people would like, what would be interesting. We have people phoning in as well sometimes. Obviously, people's real life, true life ghost stories. They're continually coming into us, which is amazing. We've got a brilliant list of stories all the time. Yeah, and you kind of, I would say, get a plan together. If you're a writer, look what people are talking about on social media. If you're a singer, if you want to start a podcast, maybe you want to reach out to professional singers or people in the singing industry, or people that choirs, carol singers, and get their stories and get them on the podcast, and whatever you're interested in, films, TV, Olympics, whatever. You always, because you'll be really surprised if you wanted to start a podcast on athletics, and you reach out to people, and more often than not, people will say, yeah. I mean, famous stars, famous celebrities, reach out to them, message them, because you'll be really surprised. Most of them will want to do the podcast because they want to sort of talk about, their experiences, but they also want to help you out as well. And we've reached out to, I think everybody we've reached out to wants to do the podcast. It's amazing. So yeah, just if you want to do a podcast, yeah, just read a little bit about it, and then just write, some ideas of what you want on the show, organize it all, and then like a structure, and then just do it. Just, I mean, it's the right time as well, Eric, because it's 2020. We've been in lockdown most of the year, and people love to listen to radio and podcasts.
And once you have it recorded, you need an MP3 file, or how does it work? And then
Oh no,
somewhere.
no. So basically, like what we're doing now, you can just upload it straight away, and it just goes. You upload it to what we use is Anchor. That's part of Spotify, and then you literally, when we finish, I could upload it onto Anchor and then put it straight out, and it'd be out in 5 minutes. It's so easy.
Do you need some special consent from people who are on your podcast? Like, yes, I agree that you're gonna distribute this with my interview and things like that.
Oh yeah, we had to sign a big document with Paula Hawkins. So her agent sent over, just an agreement and all that. So yeah, that was amazing. They were so wonderful, and we were talking to them like for weeks beforehand. They were brilliant. But it's just that you won't edit it so that it's, that she won't be happy with it. We had to edit it and send it to them first and make sure they were happy with it, and then that's it. But you just can't abuse it or anything, or you can't sort of, I suppose, what they might have been worried about is that we brought her on and just argued with her or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll get podcasters sometimes like that. They'll just argue with you or just make fun of you, I suppose. And they were just worried that they didn't want that to happen. But if anyone listens to our show, we're always having a laugh and having fun.
Yeah, for sure. I hear it. I hear it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Harry, it's like horror and then you laugh.
I know, I know. We
Funny.
just love it. But unfortunately, yeah, you have to sign agreements when you have the really big celebrities. It's just because there's probably the odd person out there that would just want to take the pee out of people and just mock them.
Yeah,
But yeah, so,
that's super good.
but we love everyone that comes on our show. You know what I mean? It's just fabulous.
Do you have any special plans for 2021 in terms of like new skills learning or maybe releasing another book?
Oh yeah, well I'm hoping 2021, Eric. I'm hoping to probably release another 3 books. I'm working on a book at the moment called Creeper. I'm hoping, mate. I'm hoping. Yeah. I'm working on a book called Creeper at the moment, which is I'm hopefully going to get that out. It all depends if I get this agent Monday or Tuesday, but I'll let you know about that. But yeah, so I plan on bringing Creeper out. I'm probably possibly going to bring Creeper out as a series, as a 3-parter, but it might just be one. And also to keep doing the podcast, keep getting all our wonderful guests. And yeah, just time with my family and just having fun and yeah, just optimistic about the future because 2020 has been quite bad, hasn't it? It's been so depressing for so many people, and I hear so many people talking about mental illness and. You know,
Yeah,
I heard such a tragic story a while back because my children, they look after a lot of people with disabilities. They're amazing kids. They went to Lourdes last year in France, and they were looking after all the people with disabilities, and then they came back and they visit people all the time, and we heard a story that there was this one person that just because of lockdown he wouldn't come out. And everyone was reaching out to him and he wouldn't come out. He wouldn't just ring him or knock the door. He wouldn't come out, and bless him, because he locked the door, he got paranoid and then got dementia. And there's just so many stories. You just need to, through this, just call people, Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, get together with your
yeah,
family, just every as much as you can on the internet, because we need to all be there for each other, Eric. And it's just
yeah,
tragic. This year's been tragic. It's so many people are going through it. It's very, very, very difficult times, but we'll all pull together, and I know we'll all get out of it.
I have a question regarding because you talk about horror like something that you could teach. Would
Mm.
you ever be interested, or are you planning on having like a horror course for writers who want to write horror?
Yeah, I mean that I'd never say never. Absolutely. I mean, I would if I do get an agent, and I would like to possibly do some self-teaching methods of writing horror, uh, getting yourself out there, getting yourself noticed, promoting yourself. But yeah, I mean, it would be something I'd love to sort of do in the in the long term. It's just finding the time. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
hectic because you can be promoting yourself 24/7. Promoting. There's always something you can promote. There's always there's always a platform where or something to say on social media to promote your works or promote your podcast and all that. And there's just not enough hours in the day. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. We need more hours. We need more hours, but we also need more rest.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my
really
good lord. Yeah.
rethink rethink your time, where you're spending your time, rethink it, and just put your priorities a bit
Yeah.
otherwise, probably. But it's very interesting to know about you and horror, because if one day you have a class or something, count me in. I want to be there.
Oh
I,
wow. Okay.
I want to learn how you make a horror story live and terrify people.
Yeah.
So for sure, that would be.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something I'd consider. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Where can we find you?
So I'm on social media platforms all over the place. So on my Twitter is at Stuart James 73. And Instagram, I'm under Stuart James Author. And I have a Facebook page as well, which is Stuart James Author as well. And then we have a podcast page, which is called Stu and Kerry's Reviews, News and Interviews. Yeah, I'm all over the place, and I promise I will get. I always do. And I will get back to anybody who messages me or says they've enjoyed my book or says, "Hey Stu, how are you? Read Stranded," or "I've just bought the house from Rector." I get back to everybody, everyone.
Stu, and a question now, my trademark question. Who do you want to amplify? Who should I contact and get on my interview? Who do you want to give more visibility and support?
I would love to support my podcast partner, Kerry Beavis.
That's so. Okay, I'll do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Kerry's fabulous, and she's such a
And
wonderful,
I know that
wonderful
she just
person.
released a new book, right?
Tomorrow, yeah, she's got a new
Tomorrow.
book out tomorrow, yeah, called Trust No One. Yeah, so yeah, Kerry is fascinating. She's got so many incredible stories, and she'll be so interesting to talk to as well. She's such a wonderful person.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, I'm extremely thankful for you for having you on my show. I would never thought that it's that easy to just contact somebody who has written 5 novels, 5 or more,
Yeah,
and has been playing in a band for years and years, and it's just and we can chat 1 hour about really about what's happening today, about plans, about future, about past. So I'm really thankful to you.
oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so grateful to you, Eric, for contacting me, and it's amazing. And you're doing what you're doing is fantastic, absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic, and it's going to help so many people as well that are watching your shows and everything. So, my thanks to you, my friend. My thanks to you.
Thank you for watching the episode, for being here with us. Don't hesitate sharing it with your friends, with someone who you think always wanted to be a writer, but there was something that held that person back. And if that person was you, please write down in the comment what was your biggest takeaway from this episode. See you in the next episode.